Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Rex is adamant that Grace must be responsible for what has happened to Lucas, despite her fierce denials. At the engagement party, John Paul reveals that he has a new tattoo dedicated to Jez. Everyone celebrates, but there's disaster when Myra suddenly doubles over in pain. Ste then receives a separate chilling phone call, warning him that Lucas is in hospital. Ste rushes to be by Lucas's side. Sienna is at the wheel, but her vision blurs and she's terrified to realize that she can't feel her legs. Jez worries when he learns that Sienna has been in a car crash after suffering another incident of temporary paralysis. He finally gets to Lucas's side, desperate for answers over his son's condition. Meanwhile, Donnie and Di Banks come face to face in the dog's car park. Hollyoaks fans are set for an emotional roller coaster, as Ste finds himself in the center of a terrifying family crisis that could change his world forever. Just when things were starting to feel stable, Ste receives a devastating phone call that sends shockwaves through his entire being. A call from the hospital that his son Lucas has been rushed in after a serious incident. The moment the words leave the nurse's mouth, Steve's heart sinks and time seems to stop. Panic floods his chest as he scrambles to grab his keys, yelling for James, who's caught off guard by the urgency in Steve's voice. There's no time for questions, no time to explain, just a desperate need to get to Lucas. As the camera follows Ste racing through the village, his mind spins with horrifying possibilities. Has Lucas been attacked? Was it an accident? Or something even worse? Steve's past fears come rushing back, those nights he lay awake worrying that his past mistakes might one day haunt his children. The guilt eats at him as he arrives at the hospital doors. He bolts through the corridor, eyes scanning for a familiar face. When he finally spots the nurse from the call, he rushes over breathless demanding answers. She calmly but urgently explains that Lucas was brought in unconscious after being found at the skate park with head injuries. Details are scarce, but it doesn't appear to be an accident. Steve's knees almost give way. Head injuries. Unconscious. Those are words no parent ever wants to hear. The nurse leads him to the waiting area where a doctor will come speak to him shortly. Time stretches unbearably as Ste paces the sterile hallway, chewing his nails and replaying every interaction he's had with Lucas in recent days. Had he missed something? Was Lucas acting strange? James arrives a few moments later, pulled from a meeting after Steve's frantic call. The two men sit silently side by side, their anxiety palpable. When the doctor finally appears, Ste leaps to his feet, eyes wide with hope and fear. The doctor explains that Lucas sustained a blow to the head, causing swelling on the brain. They've managed to stabilize him, but he remains unconscious. It's too early to know the full extent of the damage. Steve struggles to hold himself together as the words sink in. Lucas is alive, but he's not awake. His baby boy is lying in a hospital bed, fighting a battle he never should have had to face. Steve asks if he can see him, and the doctor nods. When he walks into the room, the sight of Lucas hooked up to machines hits him like a freight train. He sinks into the chair beside the bed, taking Lucas's hand, whispering through tears that he's here, and he's not going anywhere. Back in the village, news spreads fast. Leah is the first to arrive at the hospital, demanding to see her brother. Ste hugs her tightly, trying to be strong for her sake, but inside he's breaking. Meanwhile, Donna Marie and Juliet show up offering support and snacks, neither of which Ste can stomach. Later, Ethan arrives looking uneasy. He hesitates before approaching but finally mutters that some of the younger lads had seen Lucas arguing with someone near the skate park before it happened. This changes everything. If this wasn't an accident, then someone hurt Lucas deliberately. Steve's grief quickly simmers into rage. Determined to find out who did this, Ste leaves James to watch over Lucas and returns to the skate park, retracing Lucas's steps. He questions every teen he can find, grilling them for details. Eventually, one of the lads cracks, admitting that Lucas had clashed with a group over a stolen phone. One name keeps coming up, Mason Chen Williams. Steve's blood runs cold. He knows Mason has a temper, but could he really be capable of this? Steve storms to the Chen Williams household, but Lizzie answers the door and is horrified to hear what happened. She insists Mason's been home all day, but her voice wavers. Steve demands to see him, but Lizzie refuses. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Lucas's condition takes a turn. The monitors beep erratically, sending nurses rushing in. James calls safety in a panic. He races back to find doctors surrounding Lucas, trying to stabilize him. The minutes feel like hours until finally the machines settle. The doctor warns that Lucas's brain is under stress, and if he doesn't wake up soon, the risks increase. Steve breaks down at his son's bedside, begging him to fight. He tells Lucas he needs him, that he loves him more than anything in the world, that he'll fix everything if he just opens his eyes. Back in the village, Charlie begins to feel the pressure. He was there when Lucas was hurt, and he knows more than he's letting on. He confides in Xing Lin that he saw Mason push Lucas but was too scared to come forward. Xing Lin tells him he has to do the right thing, and with a trembling voice, Charlie agrees. Later that day, he walks into the hospital and tells Ste everything. That Mason shoved Lucas off the top ledge in a moment of anger. That it wasn't an accident. That Lucas hit his head and didn't move. Steve's entire body stiffens with fury. He thanks Charlie for being brave, but inside a storm is brewing. The next morning, police arrive at the Chen Williams household. Mason is arrested on suspicion of grievous bodily harm. Lizzie breaks down screaming as her brother is taken away. Ste watches from across the street, his face unreadable. Back at the hospital, Lucas remains unconscious. Doctors are monitoring closely but can't offer guarantees. Ste sits by his side day and night, refusing to leave. Leah brings drawings and pictures from home, taping them around the room. Even James starts to crack under the emotional toll. The whole family is hanging by a thread. Days pass, and still Lucas doesn't wake up. Ste begins to spiral, questioning everything. What kind of world is this where kids end up in comas over petty arguments? Where anger leads to violence and no one seems to learn? He breaks down in James's arms, sobbing that he's failed as a dad. But James reminds him he hasn't failed, he's right where Lucas needs him. And eventually that persistence is rewarded. One evening, Ste is dozing off beside Lucas's bed when he hears a faint sound. A whisper. He opens his eyes and sees Lucas's fingers twitch. Then his eyes flutter. A weak groan escapes his lips. Lucas is waking up. Ste leaps to his feet, calling for the nurse, tears of joy streaming down his cheeks. Lucas's eyes meet his, and for a brief moment, the world feels whole again. The doctors rush in and begin assessing him. His speech is slow and his memory fuzzy, but he's awake. And he's alive. Ste thanks every god he knows as he kisses his son's hand, promising that nothing will ever hurt him again. As Lucas begins the long road to recovery, the community rallies around the Hay family. Mason's court date looms, but for now all that matters is that Lucas is back. Ste has never felt so broken or so grateful. The trauma will linger and justice will still need to be served, but for today, for this moment, Steve's son is alive. And that's enough. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our Hollyoaks Update YouTube channel for more update news.